Oh, for a little more energetic fun. I just got to check and make sure this recorded because I had the most beautiful download and I wanted to share it with you, and I recorded it and it recorded, but there was no me. There was just me and my mouth moving. So, okay. Yep, we're recording, hopefully, for the rest of this, but it was about a download I had just recently, and I thought I'd record it right off the hop so that I could preserve it. And, and I was talking about in a previous post about why distraction is so important for you to receive information. And that's really the only times my downloads come in is when I'm engaged in something. I'm distracted by something. In this moment, I was cleaning. My guides love to do this while I'm cleaning. It's almost like, ooh, I'll give her the goods when she's cleaning. But anyway, what came into me, it was so profound, I thought anyway, and it was about my claircognizance and how knowing my truth is, how do other people know that my truth is something that should be listened to or taken seriously, right? I know it to be true because I've learned to use my claircognizance. And in the beginning, I thought my claircognizance was really frustrating because I'd rather just see the pictures and hear the words of what they wanted to say. But as the years have progressed, I realized my claircognizance is really just me literally trusting my truth and what I know to be true. And I can literally move through life like that in a very conscious and cognizant way. And it's a process, but you learn to trust yourself. And I have a few other really strong clairs, like my clairsentience, and my clairaudience is starting to develop, but I'm not clairvoyant in any way. Maybe that will come. We'll see. But I started to think about, my clear knowing, claircognizance. That's what it is. There are some things that I just know to be true. And there's lots of things that I'm like, oh, I don't know. That's not my claircognizance. There are things that I know to be true. And so it led me to think, like, how do other people know? How are other people supposed to interpret my truth and what I know? Because we don't have books. We don't have science that can explain any of this. Well, we're starting to get it now, but it's few and far between right now. We need much more research and science on this, and it's coming. It will. But it led me to believe, I'm like, that is also why the nervous system health and the intuition and the discernment in the other person is so important to develop. I've been talking about intuition and discernment for quite much longer than I've been brave enough to talk about the consciousness process. But that is how other people receive your information as true for them. We can't just go along following people and hoping what they're saying is true. We need to feed it through our own systems. So I might have clear knowing, and I get this information downloaded from the ethers, which is really cool that people can do that. Like I lived in skeptic land, just like all of you, until this all started unraveling, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? But this was that interesting piece, and I'm like, so I may be claircognizant, I may know some stuff, but how do other people take that through their filter? And you can see why that nervous system health is important, because your filters are clouded by so many things. This is where we're getting into the psychology of it. If you're working with a really healthy nervous system, your intuition and your discernment is going to be on point, and you're going to know in your body. If your body's always living in fear and doubt and shame, how is it supposed to discern anything? Right? So that's why we have to do the shadow work part of healing from what programming you originally have. I hope that makes sense, because this was a really fascinating download, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and tape it, off the cuff, because I don't know, I might have to re-listen to this and redo it if it's not making sense to me. But if it makes sense to you, please let me know, because there's a lot of us who are on this journey. And like I said, I was living in that bubble too for 40 years of my life. And The last 10 years have been pretty profound, pretty challenging, pretty amazing. All of it was worth it. Some points were dicey, and I know we lose a lot of people to this process, but thankfully, I am still here to be strong enough to be working in this new world of consciousness and trying to bring people to a really peaceful, joyful place where we shouldn't be living in a controlled world, a controlled society, controlled by other people's emotions, controlled by our own emotions. Like, that doesn't sound like any fun to me. I'm sure it doesn't sound like any fun to you, even though that's probably how you're living. So, thoughts, I'm always open to hearing them. Any any kind of thought you have, I would love to hear it. I am strong enough to take the criticism now and the questions and all the things. I remember a time when I was dealing with some real visibility shadows. One of the many shadows that the neurodivergent population in particular are very, very hit with, because we were always that too much, too much, too emotional, too loud, too sensitive, to all the things, like that created the biggest visibility issues for a lot of us. And I had to learn to get through a lot of those to be able to be strong enough to come on here and speak my truth this way. So I'm speaking my truth through my clairs, my strongest one being my claircognizance. And I am asking you to think about it. Use your discernment whether this is right information for you, because you are the only one who can know whether it's right for you. It's always an internal job for all of us. That's my take for today. I love you all.